everybody, welcome to Bones Collector. Lori and I just finished playing an old classic called El Grande. Now you might ask, why are you playing that old game? Well, it just had a reissue. This is a 2023 reprint, and we saw it in our local game store. I've never played El Grande. Yes, that's right, I've never played it. And it's one of the classics in the board game hobby. It came out in 1995. The designers are Wolfgang Kramer and Richard Ulrich. And they, of course, designed Princess of Florence, which is way up high in our Ultimate Top 100. Just an absolutely fabulous game that we love. But we wanted to play this, so we picked this up from our local game store. Inexpensive copy. I mean, what was it, 45 bucks?
I think it was 40.
40 bucks, something like that. So, it's, not a lot of money spent on a terrific game. But let me tell you a little bit about the physical production of the game. The box is okay. I mean, it's Hans im Glück, so the box is... It's okay. I mean, it's adequate because there's nothing really heavy in here. It's got a pretty picture in the bottom of the box. I really can't see that, but let's see. Got a pretty picture in the bottom of the box. And one of the fascinating things about this game is everything came in paper wrap. They were paper wrap in the cards, paper bags holding things, and all these caballeros came in paper bags, so that's pretty cool. Everything is eco-friendly.
And you use boxes instead of baggies to store it.
And everything has a little tuck box, as you saw here. Every player has a tuck box and it has all your stuff that you need in it other than your dial. So that's pretty cool. And these tuck boxes hold, again, your deck of cards that you're going to use during the game, all of your caballeros and your grande, and that's pretty neat. The board is very pretty, isn't it? It's very colorful and pretty. And
it's kind of thin.
Kind of thin. Lays flat though, that's all I ask.
It does.
It's two-sided board. You have 4 and 5 players on one side, 2 and 3 on the other. So that's pretty cool. All the card stock is linen. That's very nice. These cards are really pretty. And they have the text on them telling you what they do. These dials that you're going to use, place the caballeros out of the Castillo, are very nice, work well, and you have, again, a deck of cards that you're going to use during the game. The king is a big wooden piece. And I think that's about it. The rule book's pretty good. We found some translation, just a few things you have to...
they make sense, but you have to really think them through.
You have to eke through it, because there's a little bit of translation issues, and I just did want to mention that. I'm not a fan of little cards. I will say that. I mean, I love these cards. Those are almost regular size playing cards. I don't know why all the cards couldn't have been that size. Yeah. I'm sure it keeps costs down a little bit.
They wouldn't fit in the tuck box. But they'd have to make them big.
Yeah, the tuck box. Yeah, I suppose. But I would be willing to let them sacrifice to do that. I like larger cards just because they're easier to see and handle. I don't like these. A guy with big hands is going to have trouble with these little cards. I don't care. But that's it's nitpicking. Oh yeah, there's a couple of expansions, or not expansions, what would they be called?
Mini expansions.
Mini module or something in here. And we used them. One of them is the Power Shift expansion. And what this does, and this is...
there you go.
Yeah, our cats were real good while we played this game real fast, but now they're waking up and we could be in trouble. But they add to the value of the deck of cards that you're going to be using in this game. And that's a must. I thought that was pretty nice, because... one of the most important things you do is decide which card to use on your turn, because that's going to determine the initiative order. And you can change it with these cards. Plus, it has a little power on it that might help you. And the ones that have pluses have lesser powers. The ones that have minuses are more powerful.
And I had one that had no power.
Yeah, because it's making the card less powerful. So that's pretty cool. Hey, if you want to watch, there's plenty of people if you haven't played El Grande, they can teach you how to play this game. I'm not going to do that today. I just want to tell you what I think about it. I love the production of this game. Again, I don't know what I'm missing in the other print runs that were put out there years ago. There was a big box, or I said, wasn't there a big box, El Grande? Yeah. And El Grande, the original, and all these, and people were trying to rake people over the coals to get their copy of El Grande. Yeah, I'll sell it to you for $100. Well, I mean, so we just never bought one. I'm not going to overpay for something just because I want to play it. But people tried to take advantage of the short print runs of previous editions. But hey, this is very pretty. This is going to stay in our library. It vaults into my Ultimate Top 100 immediately. It's going to be in, it's going to be in there with Princess of Florence. I mean, it's a great area control game, and it has some wonderful mechanisms that you're going to be used to determine how you're going to keep those caballeros in these different regions. Now, in a 2-player game, which is what we just played, you do have a dummy player, and he's going to have a deck of cards that's going to determine the initiative, and he doesn't score any points. And then he has a region deck where you turn up 2 of those region cards, and it's going to determine where you're going to put his neutral caballeros on the map. And as you're playing the game, each turn you're going to pick one of these power cards, and it's going to allow you to move some of these caballeros that are already on the board around, and you can move the neutral caballeros also, so that's kind of nice. So in the game, you're simply going to decide your initiative card, what cards you want to pick out of your hand. You've got 1 through 13. The 13s don't give you any caballeros out of your province, which is your reserve, and into your court, which is your active reserve, so you can move those to the board when you pick these power cards. Each one of the power card decks has a different number of caballeros at the bottom you're going to be allowed to move onto the board. It's got 2 parts. It's going to tell you how many caballeros that you can move onto the board, and gives you a special action. And that's why they're called special action cards. So that's pretty cool. And the decks have, I say, different number of caballeros you can move. The most powerful one is this 5. You can move 5 caballeros onto the board. Now, if you want to do that, you want to pick this card first, because most of the time, whoever is going to go first, as far as the players are concerned, is really going to consider picking this card here, because you get to place 5 caballeros on the board or in the Castillo. And that's a lot. And it goes down from there. And in a 2-player game, you remove the 4 cards out of that deck out of the game completely. And you can, again, when you're moving these caballeros onto these regions of the board, you can, depending if you're placing 5 of them, you can take 5 of those and put them in a Castillo, and you got to tell everybody, I'm putting, X number of caballeros in the Castillo, and then when the Castillo is scored, you simply open. It's a cool little mechanism, by the way, and dump them out, and then it has the total here on the Castillo of how you're going to score that. So that's pretty cool. Before you open your Castillo door, you are going to choose a region where you want those caballeros that are in the Castillo to go and help you the best out here on the board. And you do that in secret, and then you reveal, and everybody places those meeples out of the Castillo. So then also on this board, you have a round tracker. The game is 9 rounds long, and you have a scoring legend here that's going to walk you through each region and to score. We did use a Regency expansion during this game. It gives you more cards with the 5 caballeros at the bottom. We went ahead and used that whole deck, and that's, again, it's an expansion deck of cards. Then when you are playing, there are going to probably come a time in the game, maybe later in the game, where you're going to get a card that's going to offer you the opportunity to put more caballeros onto the board or in the Castillo than you have in your court. And if that happens, you simply forfeit that. You forfeit the remainder. You don't have them to play. If they're not in your court, you can't place them. Just that simple. And then it has a scoring track on the outside of the board. You can see I beat Lori by 2 points. It was a close game. But yeah, it was such a fun game. I'm not disappointed at all. How about you? I mean, again, if you play board games, everybody's talking about El Grande. It's from 1995, so it's officially one of the older games that we have in our library. I think Sequence from the 80s is probably the oldest. I mean, of course, we have chess. We have Crokinole, which is very old.
Crokinole from the
But
that'd be the oldest.
So we don't have that many older games, so it was nice to finally play this. I can highly recommend this copy. I thought it was outstanding. The 2-player variant works very well because, again, you can, it's always nice to have a mechanism where you can screw over your opponent by moving these neutral guys around, much like in 7 Wonders, that 2-player variant where you're controlling that extra player, and you can help yourself and hurt your opponent.
And he can steal a card that you want too.
Yeah, because this initiative order, he's going to turn. He has a deck of initiative cards. So if he turns one up and he's going to go before you, he's going to take one of these power cards.
He takes the
highest value power card out of here, and there's only 4 available each round. So that's kind of something you got to think about too, because you don't want him taking a card that you want. And then it has point totals in each region on the board, depending on who has the most caballeros. And if you happen to have the most caballeros and your El Grande's in that region, you get a +2. If the King's in your region, you get a +2, and you win that region. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and when you place the caballeros, they have to go in spaces adjacent to the king.
That's right.
That makes it difficult.
I almost forgot that. Wherever this king is at, when you're placing your caballeros from your court onto the board, they have to go in regions adjacent to the king. And that's hard because you're going to take some of these cards and it's going to say move the king to a new region or a region of your choice or an adjacent region. And you're thinking about, well, wait a minute, do I want to place my caballeros first and then move the king, or do I want to move the king first and then place my caballeros because they got to be adjacent to the king? And so there's that to think about.
And wherever the king is, you cannot put anything there or remove anything from his space.
Yeah, and that hurts because that most of the time when you get that card that says move this king, you're going to want to put your caballeros in that region where the king is and then move him. You can't do that. Yeah. He's got to move first. So it becomes you're really going over it in your mind. Let's see, well, if I place my caballeros first, it's got to be in regions that are adjacent to the king. And then when I move the king, wait a minute, I don't want to do that. I want to put the caballeros in there with the king. And so it becomes a conundrum a little bit of how you're going to work that out and when you're going to move the king and when you're going to place the caballeros. So, and that's fun. It's a fun, thinky thing.
Well, and there's a couple places, like if you put the king's in France, you can only place in 2 regions.
Yeah,
there's only 2 adjacent regions to France.
And king can also go in Portugal, which is this.
At least he's got a lot over there. But the worst one is France, because you can only put.
And we did move him up. I did move him up to France there.
I guess that Galicia would be bad as well. There's only 2 places you can place from there too. Those would be the worst 2. The rest of them, at least you have a little bit of option.
Yeah. So, but hey, this game is a lot of fun, and it's just the right amount of thinkiness. I think you're, again, thinking about your initiative cards and where you want to go in the round. Where do you want to go? What card do you want to take? What special action card do you want to take? How many meeples do you have? Meeples. See, I knew I would do it.
Yeah.
How many caballeros do you have in your court? Do you have enough to put on the board or in the Castillo on the special action card that you're going to take? Do you have enough in your court to have all those meeples, all those caballeros to put on the board? So you're thinking about that. How many do I have in my province? Do I need to pick an initiative card? Because the lower the initiative card, the more caballeros you're going to be allowed to move from your province to your court and have them available to put on the board.
And so whoever plays the lowest initiative card is the first player next round.
Yes. So yeah, the lowest
Other
player,
than the dummy.
the lowest player has the first player. The lowest initiative card gets the first player token, and the first player token is.
It lets you pick your initiative card first.
But you have to think about whether that's an advantage or not.
Yeah.
You get to pick the initiative card first, and that's nice if you want to go first. If you want to be the first one to pick
because none of your initiative cards can match. Did we mention that?
No, I didn't mention that. So it also
the dummy turns his up first.
The dummy, in a 2-player game.
Yes.
Okay, in a 2-player game, the dummy turns his card up first, and then you have a first player that's going to pick their initiative card, and the third player can't pick either of those. But you have these power shift card, so that can change your value and allow you to do something that normally you wouldn't be able to do. So these are pretty nice, and that's why I say this is a nice expansion to this game, these power shift cards, because they're shifting the power of that initiative card that you're picking, and you can add or subtract, and that's pretty nice. And you draft these at the beginning of the game, so you can kind of decide. If you played this game a number of times, you say, well, wait a minute, I want to have a +2 or a -2 or whatever you think works best for you and your strategizing. So yeah, there's just a lot to think about in this game. I mean, because I sat there for more than once and said, well, wait a minute, I don't know, I want to go before the dummy, because if he goes before me, he's going to eliminate the highest card, but which one would that be? Because which one is my opponent going to take? So what's going to be left? I mean, there's just the right amount of complexity in this game. I can see why it was a home run in 1995. My goodness, this was the year before Catan came out, and that was back-to-back years of great board games that really had an effect on the board gaming hobby, both these games.
And I could see with more players.
Always.
This would really be interesting.
Always interesting with more players in an area control game.
Yeah.
But hey, folks, we can only attest to the 2-player variant in this game. It works very well. We had a great time, and it's very again strategic, and there's enough to think about, and it's so much fun that I can see why it's so popular. It's going to stay in our library, and we loved it a lot. And wow, I mean, it is just a terrific.
It's thinky. I mean, I would get my thing all planned out, and then you'd move something, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, because I mean, you're making a plan, and you're putting your caballeros and your El Grande in these regions, and then these special action cards, people are going to move those things.
Yep, I would have my Grande all right where I wanted him, and then you draw a card that let you switch him with something, and I'm like, or throw him in the Castillo or something like that.
So this is a very interactive area control game.
It is interactive, yes.
And there are some cards we took out.
Well, those were in an expansion. Yeah. Those veto cards, we just decided not to use those.
But, I mean, it is, just by nature of what you're doing in this area control game, it's going to be very interactive. Because you're going to, I'm going to move some neutral meeples into an area where maybe that neutral player is going to take first place away from my opponent.
Yeah.
And I'm not in that region, so that my opponent's going to get second place points instead of first. So, and then I'm going to move some of, those cards, special action cards allow you to move your opponent's meeples. They allow you to move caballeros, and allow you to move your caballeros. So this is in flux all the time. It's always in flux.
It'll let you switch things, move the king and take 2 guys with him. I mean, there's all kinds of things on those cards that let you change what somebody else's plan might have been, which he did multiple times.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on,
but it was still fun. I had a good time.
It's a lot of fun, and you got to have a little bit thick skin, I guess. I mean, it doesn't feel mean or anything. Because going in.
There were a couple mean cards that said completely get rid of your opponent's card. And that's part of an expansion, and we just chose not to put them in.
Yeah, there is a veto card where you take, if you pick that card, your opponent doesn't get to pick a special action card. And we just thought that was too crippling. So we took those out. I mean, again.
But it was part of an expansion. Yeah. It wasn't one of the normal cards.
When it comes to board games, if the cards are mean and we can remove them without affecting gameplay, then we usually do that. And so there was just 2 cards out of however many there is here. So that wasn't too bad. And again, it was part of an expansion that didn't exist in the original Grande.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't believe. Castillo is pretty cool. You pull the thing up and they roll out. And if you're not paying attention, you don't know who's put what in there.
You have to say, I'm putting 2 in the Castillo, but if that was 3 or 4 plays ago, who's going to remember that?
You don't remember, yeah. So you kind of try to keep track.
Sometimes I even forgot how many I put in the Castillo.
But it's a fun game. I can highly recommend this game. It's going to stay in our library just because it, again, is the right level of complexity to keep the fun going. I don't like games that just get overly complex. I mean, you will, in this game...
There's enough things to think about.
Yeah, you have enough to think about to keep your mind whirling up here all the time, and that's what we ask. And because we do this for fun. Again, this is pro bono Bones Collector. This is pro bono Bones Collector, and we just do this as a hobby. We don't have a Patreon drive. We don't do any of that. We don't monetize this channel in any way. We don't receive review copies of games from people. Lori and I pound YouTube. We pound Kickstarter, GameFound, the gaming world on Facebook. We're looking all the time for things to present to you, and that's why our videos. We don't try to do 1 video a day. We don't try to do 2 videos a week. We're not getting paid for this. So we just put our videos out when we get them out. It's something we do for fun, and I don't want money or benefits of any kind from publishers to influence the things that we say. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, please. And
comment.
Yeah, comment, please.
Have you played the original version?
What do you guys think about Grande? Have you played this? Have you played the original? Have you played? You got the big box? I mean, you guys tell me. How does this compare? We don't know because we've never played the other one. But wow, what a terrific game we think this is. We love every one of you. Keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet because of games like El Grande. And now you can get it inexpensively, and that's terrific. And we'll see you the next time. Pro bono on the Bones Collector. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, welcome to Bones Collector, where we just finished playing La Granja. La Granja is game from 2014 by Andreas Odendahl and Michael Keller. It's published by Stronghold Games, and it's a dice drafting, area majority, hand management game, and the most of these victory point tokens you have at the end of the game is going to be declared the winner. We've had this game for quite a while, and it is a fantastic game. I mean, it's outstanding, actually. And let's talk about a little bit of, this is the older issue, and there is a new reprint out, some Master Deluxe set. We'll talk about that in a second. This is the original that came out in 2014, and it has an adequate box. The publishing is kind of consistent with the time that it came out.
It's Stronghold.
Yeah, Stronghold Games,
yeah.
And I mean, all the card stock is linen. You get this big deck of cards, and that's all linen stock. The board is, I mean, if you watch me at all, us at all, small boards like this we really love. The board is very small, super nice, and you have these player boards that are thick cardboard that each player will have, and with these boards you're going to be able to play these cards in 4 different ways: top, bottom. Okay, it's the barrows, this is the farm, this is the helpers, and this is the fields, and you have 4 different ways you can play those cards, every one of those. And I mean, the first time I played this game I fell in love with it. It's so easy to like what is happening in this game. But this is thick cardboard, and that's your markers are all wooden. All these little hex tokens that you're going to use are wood, and the dice are wood. Roof tiles are cardboard tokens. We use these plastic blockers in here for a 2-player game because you got to block those off for a 2-player. These market stalls aren't available.
They do have X's on them, but it's easier for us to, yeah.
Oh yeah, they do. Okay.
But it's easier for me anyway to see them closed, that they're closed off.
Yeah, and the money is cardboard. Everything in this, cardboard stock. You get a nice thick player aid, I guess I'll say that. And one side is your round structure. The other side is scoring. So you need to be familiar with what this is telling you to play this game. On your board itself, I should have left that out. On your board itself, it has some helpers also. And it tells you exactly what you can do with a commodity token. You have spaces on here where you can place craft tokens here and here once you deliver and fill those up, and then your roof tiles go on here. Now over here it tells you what you have to pay. When you play a card to the farm side of your board, it has a chart here to tell you exactly what you need to pay. Okay, you have these barns here that you can put your resources in, and then over here in the farm you're going to have pigs that you collect, and then your roof tiles I mentioned go up here, and your commodity tokens that you gain go right here. But there's a lot to this game, and that's why I wanted to tell you about that player board. Now, understanding this player aid is very important, and you have to understand what this is telling you to play this game, because we played this game, a very complex game, and we can do it in an hour. Because of this, you have to follow this. You need this, and you need to know how to score. So you have to understand how this thing works. And I'll run down them for you. If you have this game, or if you're thinking about getting it, you can watch this video and say, now what did he say that was for? But the first thing you're going to do is play a card, and it shows you that on this player aid. You play a card to your player board on one side, wherever you want to put that, and paying on the farm side if you pick that. Then you're going to draw your hand size up, which you start out the game with 3, but once you build cards on your farm side, those cards are going to add 1 card to your hand size every time you pay and put a card on that side of the board. So you draw up your hand size. Then the second thing you do is going to take income. You take income from your farm side coins that you're going to earn. Then third thing you're going to do is grow your resources, cards that you have in the fields. You're going to have a space on them to have an automatically generate a resource on that card. And the same with the farm side. If you have 2 pigs, you can generate a baby pig, and that helps out in this game. And then the fourth thing you're going to do is buy the roof tiles that are available on the board, and that's your round counters, and you have roof tiles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so the game is 6 rounds long. You cannot buy all 6 unless you have a special card. You're going to end up buying 5 because you have 5 spaces available on your player board. And I ended up skipping one during the game, and you may look at them and say, well, I really don't need that right now, and it's expensive and I don't have that much money, so I'm going to skip this one time. You want to fill those up. You want to buy the full 5 somewhere in the game. You can skip one, but every time you buy these and use the benefit, you're going to get points for that. And the farther up the roof tile track you go, the more points that you receive. So you're going to want to do that. And then the second thing that you can see right here is you're going to roll these dice. This is a dice drafting game, and you're going to roll these dice and put them where they belong on this board, and then take turns drafting them. Wow, how come I couldn't do that during the game?
Well, you never did that once when we were playing.
That's pretty nice. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the only thing that didn't get anything was a 6. Then you take turns drafting those dice, and you're going to do whatever is for that section of dice, and you have different items you can get there. You can get money, you can move up the siesta track, which gets you points and first player, or you can do a delivery in the 6th slot. You can get a pig in this 1st slot, so things like that. And this is the only place where you can, the number 2, if you draft a 2 die, you can take one of these 3 resources or play a card to your player board. And that's pretty nice, those 2s, because you only get to play 1 card every round, except if you can draft, if somebody rolls 2s and you can draft that 2 die, you can add a card to your player board, and that's pretty nice. And then it runs through the next section, which is number 3, where you have 4 donkey tiles, and they are different values. You're going to choose one of those and exercise that, and it moves you up the siesta track or make deliveries from your player board to the main board, whether it's craft buildings or barrows here. And then you are going to collect points for the siesta track and change first player, because that's what you're doing when you go up here. Then 3, you're going to make your deliveries. 4, you're going to pay for extra deliveries that you have in your farm side of your player board. And then in this section, it tells you to score your points for your market stalls on the main board, score points for where you are on the siesta track, do your turn order change for where you are on the siesta track, and then put out the 2 new roof tiles that you're going to purchase during the next round. And so understanding this board and how that round structure works is really important to making this game play smoothly. This is a very complex game. I looked it up on Board Game Geek, and it's rated 3.57. I think that's what Lori said when she read it. Something like that. And I mean, I have some games that are rated that high or higher, but this one is very tight. It's a tight economy. You're not going to get a ton done in this game. You're going to probably fulfill anywhere from 1 to 4 barrows where you're going to place a market stall out here. You finish your barrow and you're going to place a market stall here on the board. And the nice thing about doing those is if you place it adjacent to other market stall places of your opponent, if it's lesser of value, you're going to bump those off the board. And that's nice because you get a point for every one that you bump off the board. And then they get less points during scoring, and you get more points during scoring. So it's important to get those out there, but it's hard to get it done. You really have to juggle a lot of things in order to get those barrows filled with the resources that you're going to gather. I mentioned before that you can, when you're doing deliveries, you can deliver to the barrows, or you can deliver these craft houses out here on the board, and you get these special action tiles that give you a benefit after you get them acquired and put them on your board. You get the immediate benefit and then an infinity benefit for the rest of the game. So getting them early is important, but you're only talking about 6 rounds. You know, I mean, I don't know if you would end up ever with more than 2 of those. I don't know. I mean, they're just, again, you have to balance so much.
Well, it depends on which buildings are locked up too. Yeah, some of them are blocked off in the beginning.
And just, well, they unlock though.
Yeah.
Once you unlock them, you're going to have more available to you than you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Because again, the game goes pretty quickly. Like I say, we played a 2-player game in an hour, but it's a lot to think about. Yeah, we just got done playing El Grande, and we talked about it. Now, Grande was just, for us, more fun, I guess. And this game is fabulous. We've had it since it was new, since it came out, and we've played it and played it. I really like this game, but I don't know, you know, we always discuss if there's a point where a game becomes complex enough that we don't have as much fun as we would like. I think La Granja might be right there. So I don't know if we're going to keep this game or not. We've had it again since 2014, but I'm not opposed to getting rid of some games or getting, that don't really fit our play style anymore. This is a game that you're going to have to review the rule set before you play it. If you haven't played it in 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, a year, you're going to have to get out the rule book and read it, because there's just a lot going on in this game. And we've played it a lot, and it had been a year, hasn't it, since we revisited this, and we had to review quite a bit. But it comes back to you. I mean,
it was quick. It did come back quickly, and those player aids really help.
Yes, it comes back quickly. These player aids are a must. They're so nice of the publisher to include these, again, for the scoring and the round structure. And without those, wow, you'd be lost, I think. I don't know if you could do, it would really be hard.
Yeah.
These player aids are essential and really add to the pleasure of the game. But it's a great game. Hey, I mean, it's an outstanding game. It's a classic to me. And the new one, the Master Deluxe set that was kickstarted, and they do this with games now. And sometimes, in my opinion, they just overkill them. Castles of Burgundy, I thought, was an overkill job. And it's not that, if you have that game, hey, that's great. If you like that kind of thing. But I think they had like 40 boards in the new Castle of Burgundy. And they added expansions and different modules to this La Granja game. And it makes me wonder why they do that. Because there's enough going on in this game, and it's so popular in this base form. When this came out, it's super popular, just the way it is. Why? I don't know why they feel the need to make it more, add things to. It's just overkill and saturation. And maybe it's an excuse to do a deluxe master set. But if you're going to do something to upgrade the publishing and the production and the quality of the components in a board game, this is the game that was popular. Just take these components and upgrade them. Make it better. You don't really have to add, things to the game.
And put them in a giant box.
Yeah, put them in some grippy box. I don't know. It's probably, everybody has a different opinion on that, a different take, but I love this game just the way it is, because I love the small footprint on the table. It's right in front of us, and it's a brilliant game design. I mean, I can't say enough about it. It's, the adjectives and superlatives are varied and many for the La Granja. Again, these cards are incredible. These guys must have really worked hard on this game. I mean
for multi-use cards,
yeah,
this game is amazing.
Yeah, I can't think of another game other than Bruges that does a better job with multi-use cards. When you're playing that card to your player board, you're like, oh my gosh. Because every one of these things help you. Some of the, I will say that some of the helper items aren't the best. I think some are better than others. Every time I drafted a die that gave me a resource, I got 2 silver. That to me was a no-brainer. I'm going to try and get that under my board for a helper. And then you ask yourself, well, do I want to put this on the farm side and pay to put it on the farm side and pick up an extra delivery and a coin so that I have more income? Because money, it's hard to come by in this game. This is not always going to be locked, because at the beginning of the game, you roll dice and you're going to block off 3 of these. And if this money one is blocked off, you're going to have a tougher time generating income. Mm-hmm. So again, it tightens up that economy. But it's a brilliant game design. These guys, this game is just incredible. But here's the thing, and we got rid of Zulkin, the Mind Calendar, remember? Which is a game that could be in anybody's top 100. It's just a fabulous design by Simone Luciani and Daniel Tascini.
Yeah.
A brilliant game. We played that and played it, and it was very well designed. The gear system is legendary in board gaming, but it was a game that we never picked. When it came game night and your night to pick your turn to pick a game, we just never picked that game. It was just a little bit over our threshold for complexity. Fabulous game, great design. Sometimes we just don't want to work that hard intellectually. We just want to chill and have a good time like we did in Grande there. That's kind of our threshold. But anyways, yeah, so that's La Granja. If you like a crunchy Euro style game, you can get no better than this. It just does the job. It's a tremendous design, again, with the multi-use cards and everything going on this board, the dice drafting. It's a beautiful, beautiful game by Andreas Odendahl and Michael Keller. Hey, thanks you guys for designing a game that really is always on the tip of everybody's tongue when they talk about classic Euro games. We really enjoy La Granja, but again, I think it's just a little bit past our threshold for complexity. And that's it for today's video, and we love every one of you. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Comment on the video. Hey, what do you think of La Granja? Is it too hard for you like it is for us, or do you like this type of challenge? And a lot of people do.
Well, we've changed over the years too.
We have
to liking more lighter weight.
We have 200 some board games, and I like them to be a certain level of complexity. I mean, and we talk about it, and usually around that, on Board Game Geek, that 3.0 is usually our threshold of complexity.
3.5 is
okay. Now I've got this. Okay, no wait. These guys were sleeping, and Gravy, this Tabby Cat Gravy just loves to take pieces. So he's very good at it. He's quick.
He's very quick. He's lightning fast.
He's lightning fast. He can be up on here and grab something when your back's turned, and he's gone with it. So, anyways, yeah, like and subscribe. Love every one of you. We'll see you next time on The Bones Collector. And remember always to keep on board gaming. It's the best hobby on the planet because of games like La Granja. See you. Bye.